Good afternoon. Welcome to the October 23, 2018 Glendale Housing Authority meeting, being called to order at 3:06 p.m. May I please have the roll call?
Council members, Authority members, Devine.
Here.
Garpetian.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Parazian.
Here.
Sinanian.
Here.
And Chair Agajanian.
Present. May I please have your report?
The agenda for the October 23rd, 2018 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Friday, October 19, 2018 on the bulletin board outside City Hall and at 1515 Bel Air Drive, Glendale, California 91201, from where Authority member Sinanian is teleconferencing into this meeting.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. You can go ahead and ask for that.
Second. Oh, I can't. I'm sorry. I have to.
I'll move for A.
Second. Okay. Hearing no objection, the minutes stand approved as submitted. What's
Was
next?
that an abstention for
Yes, it
Authority
was.
member Devine? Thank you. Thank you. Next item, before we move on to the oral communications portion for which there have been cards submitted, I'd like to read the closed session item to which your body will recess to conference with real property negotiators, property location 106 through 116, 128, 130 through 134, 136 South Central Avenue, 138 through 144 South Glendale Avenue, and 636 East Harvard Street. Negotiating parties, Colonial Group LLC agency negotiators. Attending the closed session are Yasmin Beers, Rubik Galanian, Mike Garcia, Jillian Van Meiden, Philip Lanzafame, Onik Bulanikian, Peter Zovac, Mike Fortney, Darlene Sanchez, and Jennifer Hiramoto. Instructions to negotiators will concern the price and terms for acquisition of property. The next item on your agenda is oral communication. Discussion is limited time, is not a part of this agenda. Each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes, and the authority members may question or respond to the speakers, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for investigation and report.
Okay. The first speaker is Ms. Amanda Freeman.
Hi, thank you, council members. My husband and I own 2 buildings in Glendale, multifamily buildings, one on South Columbus and one on North Columbus. I think I've been writing to you guys about the buildings. The first one we've had for 3 years, and we bought it. It was in terrible shape. It was built in 1926. We lovingly renovated it, and we have had, a lot of tenants who, every time the building is vacant, we have 10 or 12 people who apply, and they all are within their economic reach of 30% or under. There are a lot of people who are in the $2,000 market that want to live in Glendale that work here. So I feel like there is a continued need for what we do. We have a new building that's at North Columbus that we purchased right before the rent control conversation came up, and it would be devastating for us to have rent control go in and be made retroactive to when we purchased the building. My husband and I also went to the supervisors meeting when they were talking about rent control, and I heard Supervisor Kuehl's very impassioned beginning of the agenda, where she said, homelessness, I don't want to hear about the fact that it's as a result of mental illness. And she cited an article that was in Zillow. And so I thought that's so strange, because we worked in homelessness with Pacific Clinics providing housing for homeless people for 10 years. And really, it's always been about a conversation about mental health, about loss of jobs, and drug addiction. So I went back and I looked up this article, and I found it, and I have copies of it for you. And the first thing it says is what she said: 2,000 or more people could fall into homelessness if rent climbed an average of 5%. Rents rose 4.2% over the past year. Now, I'm not sure how they got to 5% being the cutoff, but they did. But interestingly enough, she never mentioned number 2, which is some markets, including Houston and Tampa, have disrupted the connection between rising rents and growing homeless population. That's really interesting to me. In fact, it says not all markets have a strong relationship between rents and homeless population. Even as rents rose in Houston and Tampa from 2011 to 2016, the number of people experiencing homelessness dropped Other markets where homelessness rates dropped were Chicago, Phoenix, St. Louis, San Diego, Portland, Detroit, Baltimore, Atlanta, Charlotte, and Riverside. Maybe we should look at what they're doing. In fact, it says the most effective thing for preventing homelessness is housing vouchers. They say there's some problems. 1 out of 20 isn't used, but that's still 19 people that aren't at risk of homelessness. That's really significant. If you read on, it says Philip Mangano, who was the nation's homeless czar under George Bush, said that homeless intervention focused on people experiencing chronic homelessness because research shows that they are the most disabled, vulnerable, and expensive to the public, and that without intervention, they will remain homeless. So I urge you to consider the relationship between property taxes and being able to reach out to these people to help them in a more significant way versus what's going to happen with rent control, which is there's going to be a 20 to 30% reduction in property values. So people like me are not going to be able to come in and buy properties and renovate them. We just can't afford it. The reason experts deem vouchers were so worthy is that they have the best long-term outcome. That's what it says. So going back to before the meeting, I met with Jared Degonia, who's Supervisor Barger's deputy, and I discussed the working group, and he told me specifically that Solis and Kuehl directed the working group not to consider supply and demand. Without supply and demand, that determines the cost of everything, either quality or lack of volume. So what we have in Los Angeles is a lack of volume. So if you had the working group not address that, you really aren't addressing the problem, and you're not going to find the solution. And sure enough, this article says that the entire situation that they're encountering is a lack of inventory. Prices are up because demand outstrips supply, and also translates into people being able to afford less than they used to when the situation gets pushed to the bottom of the economic ladder and people on the bottom rung fall off, some of them into homelessness. Houston has solved much of this homeless problem by providing housing. If the average rent in Houston climbs 5%, the area will see just 120 more homeless people, a remarkably small predicted increase for the county's 5th most populous area, which as recently as 2010 had a high rate of homelessness. So they're doing a great job. Marilyn Brown, president and CEO of the Coalition for Homeless in Houston, credited teamwork among agencies and nonprofits to the turnaround. We have the same vision. By 2020, we will have fixed the system so that no one who enters homelessness need be without permanent housing for longer than 30 days. We are Texas. We put a man on the moon. We figure we could put them into housing. Well, that's pretty powerful. And if I were reading this, I would want to talk to her and see what she's doing. So when there are more vacancies, landlords are also willing to work more with housing voucher recipients. And interestingly enough,
Mr. Chair.
Ms.
Ms.
Freeman,
Freeman,
Am I
your
done?
time is up.
Oh,
can you
sorry.
finish it
Okay.
in
Do you want me
10
to?
seconds?
8
15
seconds, yeah. Okay, so housing vouchers went to a meeting with other landlords, and they were like, yes, we want to accept more vouchers. We've been doing that. They were mom and pops. She also said mom and pops like me are a thing of the past, like mom and pop farmers, which really I'm here to provide and help. That's my goal. I don't know if I could give this. This is a
Thank you.
really
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
article, and I think it
Thank
would
you.
be helpful. Thank you so
I have
much.
a question from her.
Please.
I have a quick question for you.
Oh, sure, of course.
Can you read that, I think it was first or second paragraph that indicated if the rents go up by 5%, the amount of homelessness will increase, but rents went up 4.2%?
In the past year. And then the second part of that is some markets, including Houston and Tampa, have disrupted the connection between rising costs and growing homeless populations. The other
No, the
markets...
first paragraph, can you read that section
Oh,
again?
sure. It says nearly 2,000 more people will fall into homelessness in Los Angeles if rent climbed an average of 5%. Rents there rose 2.4 over the past year,
So rents went up 4.2%.
according to Zillow. Now, Zillow, sometimes their projections,
According
as
to
we
Zillow.
know, is not always, people...
And that's in LA County or LA
That
City?
says LA County.
So it's not 10 or 15% in last year?
Well, and the last page I attached here is kind of important because it also says I gave you a few other articles, that in September of 2018, prices dropped. And there's a few other articles saying that, that right now, there's a slowdown in housing. And I've seen that in, around the Galleria, the pricing of housing is really stabilized and begin to soften.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Mr. Michael Kapkanis? I'm sorry if I said it.
It's fine. It's a Greek name. It's tough. My name is Michael Kapkanis. I'm 62 years old. I recently bought an absolutely decrepit apartment in Los Angeles, and now I'm restoring it. My property is my only retirement plan. I've risked my entire life savings on the city of Glendale. Rent control could easily bankrupt me. I believe the current slogan is, the rent is too gosh darn high. But in Los Angeles, renting may be a better value than buying a home. From my experience, in the past 25 years, the cost of rent, unadjusted for inflation, has approximately tripled. Meanwhile, the price of my own home has gone up sixfold. Every economist will tell you that it all starts with supply and demand. In this case, not enough housing means higher prices for the homes that exist. I think that's pretty obvious. So, the high price of rent, the high price of owning a home, they're not the problem. They are symptoms of a problem, and the problem is lack of supply. If we want true solutions, we must be careful to treat the cause and not be distracted by the symptoms. I went to my doctor 2 months ago, and he asked, what's the problem? I tell him, my ankle's killing me. And he says, that's not your problem. And I say, like hell it's not. I haven't been able to walk. And he replies, the MRI shows that you have a crushed cartilage on your medial talar dome. That's your problem. Now, you can take all the pain medication you want, but that will only mask the symptoms, and your symptoms will only get worse without an operation. If we want true solutions, we must be careful to treat the cause and not be distracted by the symptoms. The clear answer is more housing, combined with problem-specific targeted programs. The shotgun approach will kill more than you know. Yet a vocal minority say that rent control is the magic solution to all these problems: poverty, homelessness, drug addiction, lack of transportation, even school supplies. I've heard it. However, economists agree that if you artificially make the cost of rent lower, rent control, placing society's burdens only on the apartment owner, the results will be less new development, deferred maintenance of existing stock, and a shrinking tax base. In short, fewer apartments of lower quality in a poorer municipality. So what kind of solution is this? Ask yourselves, does Glendale need more or less housing? Will rent control help or hurt? Then ask, would you, personally, invest in an apartment building in a rent-controlled environment? I think the answer is no. So what kind of solution is this? People rightfully say that society's most vulnerable, children, the poor, the old, should have a safe place to live, and I strongly believe that. Yet, we do not provide assistance specifically targeted toward these people. My experience is that these people too often live in squalor, and rent control would only freeze that condition in place and then create more. So what kind of solution is this? People often say that homelessness is a shame in such a rich country as America, and I agree. Yet most homeless are either psychologically disturbed, drug addicted, or have recently lost their job. Where are the programs targeted to these problems? Mind you, for most homeless, an apartment at $1,000 might as well be $1 million. So what kind of solution is this? There are many age-old societal problems: safe, affordable housing, homelessness, education, hunger, healthcare, and these are real problems. And there's a powerful feeling that we need to do something. But let us not confuse doing something with finding real solutions. Right now, there's a movement of reasonably well-off young people pushing for a rent control agenda. I believe the reason is simple. Nobody ever wants to pay more. And they're using the sick, the poor, and the homeless as human shields in their bid to pay less. Yet the people they put out front will not be the ones who benefit from rent control. So what kind of solution is this? Hippocrates, history's first recognized doctor, understood that the complexities of the human body were mainly beyond his understanding. And so it is said that he came up with this simple rule: first, do no harm. Finding solutions that do not destabilize the economy of this great city. In our rush to appease our constituents, please remember that the economic future of Glendale is in your hands. Do the right thing. Recognize that safe, affordable housing and homelessness are specific and unrelated problems. There is no one magic answer, but rather a combination of targeted efforts implemented with precision and vision. Remember, first, do no harm. Thank you.
Thank you. Oral communications is closed. Thank you very much. What is next, please?
Next is authority member and staff comments.
Are there any authority member or staff comments? Yes, please.
I will not be attending the closed session this afternoon. I do have an interest in real estate, which is within 500 feet of the property in question.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment.
Yes. Yes. Yes, Mayor.
I'm appearing telephonically because I had surgery on my Achilles tendon, which was torn, and therefore I hope that the residents and the viewers excuse my physical absence, but I'm here telephonically.
Thank you.
Get well soon.
Thank you, Mr. Najarian.
Okay, we recess to closed session?
Yes.
No.
I'm Mike Fortney, the Housing Project Manager. Just another quick update on the density bonus lottery. So the marketing begins today. And that'll go on for 4 weeks. Applications will be available a week from today. So I just wanted to say, I put out there, the website will be www.glendaleca.gov/affordable housing. You've each been given a flyer with that website on there. So again, applications won't be available again for another week, but starting next Tuesday, they will be. So we're going to start the marketing now, email blast to some 12,000 people on our interest list, as well as hard copy mailings going to start going out tonight and tomorrow. We are listing, yes, in 7 different newspapers, including the Korean Times, Glendale Independent, Glendale News Press, CV Weekly, La Opinion, LA Sentinel, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this, Asperez? Yeah, so those are 7, and then we've worked with Tom Lorenzo's team on the remainder of the marketing to market with the community partners. The applications will be received at a post office box. That P.O. box is P.O. Box 10400 in Glendale, and the zip code 91205. That will be on the application when people pick that up. We're hoping to get as many folks to apply online as possible, and that will speed up the processing of the applications, and then we'll bring this to the lottery that much quicker. So I just wanted to give you that update, and if you had any questions for me.
Yes, so they will start through the computer also from next week, right?
Yes, so you will
can
be able to
register.
apply online next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yes. And applications will be available. If you'd like, I could announce the location of those applications. The City Housing Authority, our office at 141 North Glendale, Suite 202. But applications will also be available starting next Tuesday at the Armenian Relief Society, which is located at 517 West Glen Oaks Boulevard. It'll also be available at the Catholic Charities, located at 4322 San Fernando Road. It'll be available also at the Glendale Adult Rec Center, located at 201 East Colorado Street. And finally, at Spar Heights Community Center, which is at 1613 Glencoe Way in Glendale. So those are the locations for the applications.
Yeah, please.
Are these units that have just come available?
So it's a total of 31 units, and it's in 5 different projects. These 5 projects are coming online within the next month for one, and over the course of about 12 months. So there's 5 different projects, though. I would say 1407 West Glen Oaks is probably the furthest one out, and that's roughly about 12 months away from being complete construction. But we have another one that will probably complete construction in a month. They're targeting December 1st for their, so we won't even be through this process and have the lottery conducted before that building is complete.
So this is all new construction?
Yes, so every one of this is new construction, yes.
Great, thank you. And they're located all over?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
So, Mr. Fortney, if someone tried to send a return receipt requested application, would it be kicked out of that post office box?
If they try
How
to
would we
send...
handle that?
Give me the question again, if you would, please.
So, as happened on on another application, period, not that the city had run, the applicant sends it with a return receipt requested. You know,
Okay.
you need the signature on the green card and to prove that it was actually received.
Okay.
Would that be rejected if it was addressed to that post office box that we have?
I don't think so, but let me check with the post office directly, and then I'll get back to you. I don't believe that if you request request that they wouldn't still be delivered to that post office box. But I want to double check with the post office.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
You bet.
And we recess to, I guess, to close session.
We have one council closed session as well.
We read into the record.
Oh, we did?
recessing.
Okay.
We're done.